The massive space station hung in orbit around the distant planet like a silver flower blooming in the darkness. Its countless lights twinkled against the black void, each one representing a different alien species that called the Galactic Council home. Ambassador Kate Morrison pressed her face against the small window of her transport ship and watched the station grow larger as they approached. "First time seeing it never gets old," Captain Jake Sullivan said from behind her. He was a tall man with graying hair and kind eyes that always seemed to be smiling. "Hard to believe we're really here." Kate nodded and stepped away from the window. She smoothed down her blue diplomatic uniform and checked her appearance one more time. Today would mark the beginning of humanity's relationship with the galaxy, and she wanted to make a good first impression. Behind her, the rest of the human delegation prepared for their historic meeting. Dr. Lisa Shang was reviewing her notes about alien biology for the 100th time. She was young for a scientist, but her knowledge of alien life forms had made her essential to the mission. Communications Officer Ryan Brooks tested his translation device and practiced pronouncing alien names under his breath. "New Horizons, this is Station Control," a mechanical voice spoke through the ship's speakers. "You are cleared for Docking Bay 7. Welcome to the Galactic Council." Captain Sullivan took his seat at the controls and guided their ship toward the indicated docking bay. Through the window, Kate could see other alien vessels of incredible design. One looked like it was made entirely of crystal, its surface reflecting rainbow colors in the station's lights. Another seemed to be alive, its surface pulsing like a heartbeat. As their ship settled into the docking bay with a gentle bump, Kate felt her stomach flutter with nervousness. She had trained for this moment for years, but nothing could really prepare someone for meeting creatures from other worlds. The airlock hissed open, and Kate stepped onto alien ground for the first time. The docking bay was enormous, with a ceiling that seemed to stretch up forever. The air smelled different here, carrying hints of strange flowers and metal. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, probably directions in languages she could not read. A group of aliens waited to greet them. Kate recognized them from her briefings, but seeing them in person was still shocking. The tallest one looked like a walking tree with bark-like skin and leaves growing from its arms. Green sap flowed through clear veins visible beneath its surface. This was Silphara, the representative of the Verdani. Next to the plant creature stood something that looked like it was carved from living crystal. It was roughly humanoid, but seemed to change color as it moved, shifting from blue to purple to silver. This was Valtar, the chairman of the Galactic Council and a member of the Zephyrite species. The third alien was the most unusual. It moved in what looked like a tank of water that somehow held its shape without any visible container. Inside the water sphere, a creature that resembled a cross between a dolphin and an octopus swam in lazy circles. This was Oquanis of the Thalassan people. "Welcome, humans," Valtar said, his voice ringing like wind chimes. "We are pleased to finally meet you in person." Kate stepped forward and bowed slightly, a gesture she hoped would be seen as respectful. "Thank you for having us. Humanity is honored to be considered for membership in the Galactic Council." The three aliens looked at each other in what Kate assumed was their version of surprise. Silphara's leaves rustled softly. "So polite," she said in a voice like wind through branches. "And look how they smile. Even now, facing the unknown, they show happiness." Kate realized she was indeed smiling, as were Jake, Lisa, and Ryan behind her. It was natural for humans to smile when meeting new people, even alien people. She had not even thought about it. "Fascinating," Arquanis bubbled from within her water sphere. Their facial expressions seemed designed to show peaceful intent. Most unusual for a spacefaring species. The group began walking through the station's corridors. Kate marveled at the architecture, which seemed to blend the needs of many different life forms. Some areas had lower gravity, others had different atmospheric mixtures visible as colored mists. The walls themselves seemed alive in places, covered with what looked like coral or unusual plants. "Tell me," Valtar said as they walked, "how did your species achieve space travel? Most civilizations require significant aggressive drives to leave their home worlds." "We worked together," Jake answered simply. Humans are good at cooperation. When we set our minds to something as a group, we can accomplish almost anything. Cooperation, Silfara repeated thoughtfully. Yes, we have observed this in your preliminary communications. You seem to form emotional bonds very quickly, even with other species. They passed a maintenance area where several alien workers were repairing some kind of conduit. One of them, a small creature covered in blue fur, was struggling with a heavy component. Without thinking, Ryan Brooks stepped over and helped lift the piece into place. The small alien chittered happily and patted Ryan's arm with a tiny paw. Ryan grinned and patted it back gently before rejoining the group. See? Equana said to her companions. Immediate pack bonding behavior, they cannot help themselves. Pack bonding? Kate asked. The tendency to form emotional attachments and protective relationships, Veltar explained. It is quite rare among intelligent species. Usually, creatures that achieve interstellar travel have moved beyond such primitive social needs. Kate felt a small flash of irritation but kept smiling. These aliens seemed to think human emotions were somehow backward or childish. She decided to ignore the comment for now. They entered a vast chamber filled with representatives from dozens of alien species. Kate saw creatures that looked like walking stones, others that seemed to be made of pure energy, and some that defied any description at all. All eyes, stalks, sensors, and other organs turned toward the human delegation as they entered. Many of our members have been curious about your species, Veltar said. You are quite unique in our experience. Most spacefaring races are either highly aggressive predator species or extremely advanced prey species that achieve technology through necessity. You seem to be neither. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Well, look at you, Silfara gestured with a branch-like arm. You have no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no venom, no armor, no obvious defensive capabilities either. Your skin is soft, your bones apparently fragile. Yet you achieve space travel without the desperate need that usually drives prey. Species to the stars, and your behavior is so ... Aquinas paused, searching for words. ... Gentle, you form attachments. You help strangers, you smile constantly. It suggests a very peaceful evolutionary history. Kate exchanged glances with her team. She was beginning to understand how the galaxy saw humanity, and it was not quite accurate. But she was not sure how to correct their assumptions without seeming aggressive. We have had our conflicts, she said carefully. But we prefer to work together when possible. Of course, Veltar said in a tone that suggested he was humoring her. Minor territorial disputes, no doubt. Nothing like the true predator species who carved their way to the stars through conquest. The meeting continued for several hours. The aliens asked many questions about human culture, technology, and history. Kate answered as honestly as possible, but she began to notice a pattern. Every time she mentioned something that might suggest human capacity for violence or conflict, the aliens seemed to dismiss it or interpret it as something minor. When she mentioned wars, they assumed she meant small disputes over resources. When she talked about human military technology, they seemed to think it was designed primarily for defense against natural disasters. When Jake described human physical fitness and training, they interpreted it as necessary survival skills for a species without natural defenses. As the day wore on, Kate realized that the galaxy had completely misunderstood what humans were. They saw the smiles, the cooperation, the emotional bonds, and the apparent physical weakness, and concluded that humans were some kind of unusually advanced prey species. They had no idea about human history, about the wars, the hunting, the countless ways humans had learned to survive and thrive on a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years. The meeting ended with Veltar making an offer that surprised everyone. The Council has discussed your application, he announced. Given your species' apparent ... vulnerability and your obvious peaceful nature, we would like to offer you protected status. You would be placed under the guardianship of one of our more capable warrior races. The Saurians have volunteered to take responsibility for your protection. Kate felt her smile freeze on her face. Protected status. like pets or children who could not take care of themselves. That is very kind, she managed to say. But humans prefer to earn our place in the galaxy. We believe we can contribute to the Council as equals. The aliens looked at each other again. Aquinas made a sound that might have been laughter. How adorable, she said. They want to be independent. Such spirit for such a gentle species. Very... Well, Veltar said indulgently, we will allow you a probationary membership. 6 months to prove you can handle the responsibilities. But the offer of protection remains open when you realize you need it. 3 months had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council as probationary members. Lieutenant Colonel Alex Thompson checked his equipment one final time as his transport ship approached the training moon of Zarian Prime, the joint military. Exercise was supposed to be a simple rescue simulation, but Alex had learned not to trust the word simple when dealing with alien technology. Remember, we are guests here, Alex told his team as they prepared to disembark. Show them what humans can do, but try not to make them uncomfortable. Sergeant Maria Santos laughed quietly while checking her sidearm. Sir, everything we do makes them uncomfortable. Yesterday I opened a ration pack and 3 Verdani representatives fainted. That is because you opened it with your teeth, Corporal Danny Williams pointed out. They think we are going to eat them? Alex shook his head but smiled. The past 3 months had been full of such misunderstandings. The aliens continued to see humans as gentle creatures who happened to have strange habits. They found human behavior endearing rather than concerning, like watching clever pets perform tricks. The moon's surface was harsh and rocky, designed to simulate hostile environments where rescue operations might be needed. Artificial weather generators created storms and temperature extremes. Hidden throughout the landscape were mechanical predators, robotic creatures programmed to hunt and attack anything that moved. The mixed species teams gathered at the base camp. Alex looked around at their alien allies with interest. The Saurian warriors were impressive, standing nearly 8 feet tall with thick armored scales and natural weapons. Their leader, Commander Grixville, had claws that could tear through steel and muscles that could crush bones. The insectoid team moved with perfect coordination, their hive mind allowing them to act as one organism. Each individual was smaller than a human, but their combined intelligence and natural armor made them formidable. Their queen mind, designated as Cluster Prime 7, communicated through rapid clicking sounds. The energy-based luminari flickered between solid and incorporeal states, able to phase through matter when threatened. Their representative, called Brightstar, glowed with internal light that shifted colors based on mood. The exercise is simple, announced the Galactic Council's training coordinator, a mechanical intelligence known as System Prime. Rescue the civilian targets from the hostile zone while avoiding or neutralizing the mechanical predators. Each species will be evaluated on efficiency, casualties, and tactical innovation. Alex nodded and gathered his team for a final briefing. Besides Maria and Danny, he had brought specialists chosen for their particular skills. Corporal Lisa Park was their tracker, Staff Sergeant Mike Rodriguez handled explosives, and Private Jenny Adams was their communications expert. Standard search and rescue protocols, Alex told them quietly, but keep your eyes open. Something feels off about this exercise. The team spread out across the moon's surface, each taking a different sector. The mechanical predators were supposed to be programmed for training purposes, designed to challenge but not seriously harm the participants. Alex had read the specifications, but 30 years of military experience had taught him to expect the unexpected. The first sign of trouble came 20 minutes into the exercise. Jenny's radio crackled with a distress signal from the Verdani team. They had encountered a pack of robotic hunters and were pinned down behind some rocks. Should we assist? Danny asked. Alex was about to answer when he noticed something strange. Maria had gone very still, her head tilted slightly as she listened to sounds the others could not hear. Her breathing had changed, becoming slower and deeper. Her pupils had dilated, and there was something different about the way she held herself. Maria? Alex said quietly. 3 of them, she whispered without looking at him. moving through the rocks about 200 meters northeast. They are trying to circle around behind the Verdani position. Alex looked in that direction but saw nothing. The terrain was too broken and the artificial storm too severe for normal observation. How can you tell? Sound travels differently when metal moves over rock, Maria said. She was still motionless, focused entirely on listening. And there are patterns in the way they move. Predictable. Danny had also changed. He was scanning the landscape with an intensity that made the hair on Alex's neck stand up. His movements had become fluid and purposeful, like a cat preparing to pounce. "We could set up a crossfire," Danny said softly. "Force them into a kill zone." The word sent a chill through Alex. Kill zone. They were supposed to be in a training exercise, but his soldiers were talking like they were planning a real hunt. "Let's go help the Verdani," Alex decided. "But remember, these are training robots. Disable, do not destroy." The team moved across the rocky terrain with a coordination that surprised Alex himself. Without conscious planning, they had fallen into a formation that maximized their ability to watch each other's backs while maintaining fields of fire. Maria took point, somehow able to navigate the broken ground while tracking the movements of enemies she could not see. They reached a position overlooking the Verdani team just as the mechanical predators began their attack. The robots were sleek and dangerous-looking, designed to resemble the extinct apex predators of various alien homeworlds. They moved with artificial intelligence that mimicked real hunting behavior. The Verdani were clearly outmatched. Their natural abilities were suited for peaceful environments, not combat. They tried to use their root systems to anchor themselves to the ground, but the robots simply circled around them. "Mike, can you create a distraction?" Alex asked. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez smiled in a way that would have worried Alex if he had been paying attention. "Oh yes, sir. I can definitely create a distraction." What happened next would be talked about in alien military academies for years to come. Rodriguez did not simply create a distraction. He began to hunt the hunters, using small explosive charges. He created a trail of noise and debris that led away from the Verdani position. But this was not random chaos. Each explosion was precisely timed and placed to drive the mechanical predators toward a specific location. Rodriguez was herding them like sheep. Meanwhile, Maria had disappeared entirely. One moment she was with the team, the next she was gone, moving through the rocks like a ghost. Alex caught glimpses of her occasionally, always in a different position, always closer to their mechanical prey, the robots, confused by Rodriguez's explosions and unable to locate Maria, began to make mistakes. Their programmed hunting algorithms were designed to deal with alien psychology, not human tactical thinking. That was when Danny made his move. He had been watching the robots' behavior, learning their patterns. When one of them separated from its pack to investigate a distraction, Danny was waiting. The attack was swift and efficient. Danny disabled the robot's sensors first, blinding it. Then he systematically shut down its motor functions, leaving it helpless. The entire encounter lasted less than 30 seconds, but it was the way he moved that made Alex's blood run cold. Danny had not fought the robot like a soldier following training. He had stalked it like a predator taking down prey. "Contact!" Jenny's voice crackled over the radio. "Multiple mechanical units converging on our position." Alex looked up to see a dozen more robots emerging from concealment throughout the area. These were larger and more aggressive than the first group. Something was wrong with the exercise parameters. "System malfunction detected," came an announcement from System Prime. "Training protocols have been compromised. All participants should retreat to safe zones immediately." But the humans did not retreat. Something fundamental had changed in them during the encounter with the first robots. Alex could see it in their faces, in the way they moved, in the focus of their attention. They had stopped thinking like soldiers in a training exercise. They were thinking like hunters facing real prey. "Formation Delta," Alex said quietly, and his team responded instantly. They spread out in a pattern that would have been impossible to coordinate without perfect trust and communication. Each soldier knew exactly where the others would be and what they would do. The mechanical predators advanced, their artificial intelligence calculating attack vectors and threat assessments. But they were programmed to fight aliens, not humans. They had no data on human hunting behavior, no understanding of human pack tactics. Maria struck first, emerging from concealment to disable one robot's legs before vanishing again. The machine toppled and became easy prey for Danny, who finished it off with clinical efficiency. Rodriguez's explosives created corridors of fire that channeled the robots into kill zones where Jenny waited with her modified equipment turned into improvised weapons. Each robot that entered her field of fire was systematically taken apart. Alex found himself coordinating the hunt with hand signals and subtle movements, communicating with his team in ways that seemed almost telepathic. They moved like parts of a single organism, each human perfectly aware of what the others were doing. The mechanical predators, designed to be the ultimate hunters, found themselves being hunted instead. One by one, they were disabled, destroyed, or driven into traps. The humans showed no mercy, no hesitation, no doubt. When the last robot fell silent, Alex looked around at his team and felt a moment of genuine fear. Dr. Zarathil arrived at the Galactic Council station with 3 assistants and enough recording equipment to study an entire civilization. She was one of the most respected xenopsychologists in the galaxy, a member of the scholarly Etherian race whose entire culture was devoted to understanding other species. Her flowing robes seemed to shift colors as she moved, and her large eyes could see into spectrums of light that most species could not even imagine. Commander Beth Rodriguez had been chosen to serve as the human liaison for the investigation. She was a career military officer with 20 years of experience, but she had also studied alien cultures and spoke several galactic languages. Beside her stood Marine Captain Tony Garcia, a quiet man with watchful eyes and science officer. Dr. Helen Park, who specialized in evolutionary biology. This investigation is purely scientific, Dr. Zarathil explained as they walked through the station's research facilities. The Council simply wants to understand human psychology better. Your species has shown some unexpected behaviors during the training exercises. Beth nodded politely, though she suspected this investigation was about more than scientific curiosity. The other species had been acting nervous around humans lately. Conversations stopped when humans entered rooms. Alien military officers watched. Human personnel with new intensity. "What would you like to know about us?" Beth asked. "Everything," Dr. Zarathil said. "But let us start with your evolutionary history. Please tell me about your homeworld." Dr. Park stepped forward. She was a small woman with graying hair and gentle eyes, the kind of person who spent her life studying life itself. Earth is what we call a terrestrial planet. Rocky, with large oceans and a diverse range of climates. Standard parameters, Dr. Zarathil noted. Similar to many inhabited worlds. Tell me about your evolutionary timeline. Well, that is where things get interesting, Dr. Park said. She activated a holographic display that showed Earth's geological history. Earth has experienced 5 major mass extinction events, each one wiped out most life on the planet. Dr. Zarathil's assistants looked up from their recording devices. Mass extinctions were rare in galactic history. Most species evolved on stable worlds where life progressed steadily for millions of years. 5 extinctions? Dr. Zarathil asked. How did life survive? It barely did, Dr. Park continued. Each time, only the most adaptable species managed to survive. Earth's history is basically a series of catastrophic events that forced rapid evolution or death. The hologram showed massive asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions that covered continents, ice ages that froze entire oceans. Dr. Zarathil watched with growing alarm as Dr. Park described a world that seemed designed to kill everything living on it. Humans evolved during the most recent period of instability, Dr. Park explained. The climate was constantly changing. Ice ages came and went, sea levels rose and fell. The only way to survive was to become extremely adaptable. Adaptable. How? Dr. Zarathil asked. Captain Garcia shifted uncomfortably. Beth could see that he knew where this conversation was heading, and he did not like it. Humans became persistence hunters, Dr. Park said. We developed the ability to track prey across vast distances and run them to exhaustion. Most predators on Earth hunt by ambush or short bursts of speed. Humans developed the ability to hunt by never giving up. Can you explain what you mean by persistence hunting? Dr. Zarathil asked. Dr. Park brought up another hologram, this one showing early. Humans moving across an African landscape. A hunting party would select a target animal, often something much larger and stronger than themselves. Then they would simply follow it, walking or jogging at a steady pace. The prey animal would run away, but humans would track it and continue following. For how long? Days, sometimes? The animal would exhaust itself running while the humans maintained their steady pace. Eventually, the prey would collapse from exhaustion and the humans would catch it easily. Dr. Zarathil's skin color shifted to a pale blue, which her species displayed when disturbed. You hunted animals to death through exhaustion? It was very effective, Dr. Park said matter-of-factly. Humans became so good at it that we caused the extinction of most large animals on Earth: woolly mammoths, giant ground sloths, cave bears. If it was big and made of meat, humans probably hunted it until there were none left. One of Dr. Zarathil's assistants made a sound like escaping gas, which was how Etherians expressed shock. The idea of a species systematically hunting other species to extinction was almost unthinkable. But surely this was prehistoric behavior, Dr. Zarathil said hopefully. Once humans developed civilization, you moved beyond such primitive hunting. Captain. Garcia laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. Doctor, with respect, you have no idea what human civilization looks like. Perhaps you could enlighten me, Dr. Zarathil said stiffly. Garcia looked at Beth, who nodded. Human history is basically one long series of wars, Garcia said. We have been fighting each other constantly for the last 10,000 years. Every generation, somewhere on Earth, humans are killing other humans. Territorial disputes, surely. Competition for resources, sometimes, Garcia admitted. But also for ideas, for religions, for the color of people's skin, for what language they speak. Humans will find reasons to fight about almost anything. Dr. Zarathil was now a deep blue color. How many of these wars have there been? Thousands, Garcia said. Maybe tens of thousands. We have books that do nothing but list human wars, and those books are incomplete. Dr. Park activated another display, this one showing human military technology through the ages. Humans developed increasingly sophisticated methods of killing. We started with sharpened sticks and rocks. Then we invented bows, swords, guns, bombs, poison gas, nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons? Dr. Zarathil's voice was barely a whisper. We built weapons that could destroy entire cities, Garcia said, and we used them twice on our own species. The research chamber fell silent except for the humming of recording equipment. Dr. Zarathil's assistants had stopped taking notes and were staring at the humans with expressions that might have been horror. But you seem so ... Zarathil struggled for words. You are kind to other species. You form emotional bonds. You smile constantly. You help strangers without being asked. Oh, that, Dr. Park said. Yes, humans do bond with other species. We are very good at it, actually. Too good, some might say. I do not understand. Dr. Park brought up images of humans with various Earth animals. Dogs, horses, cats, even predators like tigers and bears. Humans do not just hunt other species. We also domesticate them. We turn them into allies, companions, even weapons. Weapons? War dogs, Garcia said simply. Cavalry horses. Carrier pigeons. Humans learn to recruit other species to help us fight our wars. But these animals trust you, Dr. Zarathil protested, looking at images of humans embracing dogs. And cats. They show affection. Yes, they do, Dr. Park agreed. That is what makes humans so effective at domestication. We do not just capture other species and force them to work for us. We make them want to work for us. We make them love us. The implications of this statement hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Dr. Zarethel was beginning to understand that human pack bonding was not a sign of weakness or gentleness. It was a predatory adaptation that allowed humans to recruit allies from other species. The wolves are the best example, Dr. Park continued, bringing up images of early humans with primitive dogs. Wolves were pack hunters, like humans. We did not domesticate wolves by force. We integrated with wolf packs, became part of their social structure. Over thousands of years, we bred them into dogs that are completely loyal to humans. You turned apex predators into pets, Dr. Zarethel said faintly. We turned apex predators into partners, Dr. Park corrected. Dogs retain all their predatory instincts, but now those instincts serve human purposes. A trained attack dog is far more dangerous than a wild wolf because it has human intelligence directing its aggression. Captain Garcia stepped forward. Doctor, I think you need to understand something about human psychology. We do not see other species as completely separate from us. When humans decide to protect something, we adopt it into our pack. It becomes part of our family, and when something threatens your family, Garcia's expression became very cold. Then we hunt it down and kill it. Dr. Zarethel turned to Beth. Commander Rodriguez, do you agree with these assessments of human behavior? Beth had been quiet during most of the conversation, but now she spoke carefully. Doctor, humans are capable of great kindness and great violence. Often toward the same people on the same day. We are not simple creatures. But the violence, surely it is diminishing as your species advances. We are better at controlling it, Beth said. But it is still there. Every human military officer trains to kill efficiently. Every human police officer carries weapons. Human children play games that simulate hunting and warfare. Even now? Even now, Beth confirmed. We have built a peaceful society on Earth. But it is a peace maintained by the threat of violence. Every human knows that if someone threatens their family, their community, their way of life, they are expected to fight back. Dr. Zarethel looked at her recording equipment, then at her assistants, then back at the humans. I need to ask one more question. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began at what humans would call 3 in the morning. Ambassador Kate Morrison sat at the human delegation table, watching as representatives from dozens of species filed into the great chamber with expressions ranging from worry to outright fear. The past week had been tense since Dr. Zarethel filed her report about human psychology and evolutionary history. Chairman Veltar called the session to order, his crystal form flickering with agitated colors. We are here to address the concerning revelations about the human species and determine appropriate protective measures for the galactic community. Kate felt her stomach tighten. Protective measures. They were talking about protecting the galaxy from humanity, not protecting humanity as they had originally offered. General Kreshver of the Saurian Empire stood first. He was even larger than most of his species, with scars across his armored hide that spoke of many battles. The evidence is clear, he announced in a voice like grinding stone. Humans are apex predators from a death world. They have systematically exterminated species on their own planet and turned others into weapons. They represent a clear threat to galactic peace. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Kate noticed how the other delegates avoided looking directly at the human table, as if afraid to make eye contact with predators. The Insectoid Collective has calculated probability matrices, announced Cluster Prime 7, speaking through their chosen representative. Human expansion patterns suggest territorial acquisition drives consistent with predatory species. Estimated time to first interspecies conflict, approximately 47 standard years. More agreement from the assembly. Kate stood slowly. Honorable representatives, may I speak? You may, Veltar said, though his tone was much colder than it had been during their first meeting months ago. I understand your concerns, Kate began, but you are making judgments based on fear rather than evidence. Humans have been members of this community for months now. Have we attacked anyone? Have we shown aggression toward any species? Deception is a common predatory trait, General Creshver responded. You are simply waiting for the optimal moment to strike. That is not true, Kate said firmly. Humans value cooperation and peaceful coexistence. Your own people admitted to Dr. Zarathul that you see other species as potential prey, accused Senator Morden of the Crystalline Federation. How can we trust predators who evaluate us as food sources? Kate felt her diplomatic training struggling against a growing anger. These species had welcomed humanity based on false assumptions, and now they were condemning humanity based on equally false assumptions. We do not see you as prey, she said. We see you as potential friends, potential family. Until we threaten something you care about, Aquinas said from her water sphere, then you hunt us down and kill us. Your own military officer said those exact words. Before Kate could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The chamber's emergency lights activated, bathing everyone in harsh red illumination. A mechanical voice announced, "Priority alert. Saurian military vessels have engaged human ships in Sector 7. All diplomatic personnel report to designated safe zones immediately." The chamber erupted in chaos. Species representatives fled toward the exits while security forces moved to contain the human delegation. Kate looked around desperately for information about what was happening. Captain Jake Sullivan's voice crackled over her emergency communicator. Kate, we have a problem. Saurian patrol ships just fired on the cargo vessel Morning Star. 3 human civilians are dead. Kate felt something cold settle in her stomach. 3 humans were dead, killed by their supposed allies while under the protection of diplomatic immunity. Jake, you need to maintain discipline, she said into her communicator. Do not escalate this situation. Too late for that, Jake's voice was grim. Admiral Carter just arrived with the battle group. He is not happy. Through the chamber's massive observation windows, Kate could see the human fleet emerging from hyperspace. She had met Admiral Frank Carter once, a quiet man with gray hair and tired eyes who had spent 40 years in the human military. He was not the kind of officer who acted rashly, but he was also not the kind of man who ignored attacks on civilians under his protection. General Kreshver was shouting orders to his own military staff. All Saurian vessels are to maintain defensive positions. The humans cannot be allowed to take aggressive action. They already have taken action. Admiral Carter's voice came over the chamber's communication system. You fired on a civilian vessel flying under diplomatic protection. 3 non-combatants are dead. It was a misunderstanding, General Kreshver replied. Your ship failed to respond to proper identification protocols. The ship responded correctly. According to the protocols you provided, Carter said. His voice was calm, but Kate could hear something underneath the calm that made her nervous. You murdered civilians, General. Now you need to decide how many more people are going to die because of your mistake. Kate watched through the windows as the human fleet moved into formation. She had seen military formations before, but this was different. The human ships moved with a coordination that seemed almost organic, like a school of fish or a flock of birds. Each vessel knew exactly where the others would be and what they would do. Admiral Carter, Veltar called over the communication system. The Galactic Council demands that you withdraw your forces immediately. Any aggressive action will be met with overwhelming response from our combined fleets. Combined fleets? Carter asked. You mean the 17 Saurian cruisers, 8 crystalline destroyers, and 12 insectoid patrol vessels currently in this system? There was a pause. Kate realized that Carter had just demonstrated that human forces had been tracking every military vessel in the area. They knew exactly what they were facing. The Council has over 300 ships within 6 hours of this position, General Kreshver said. I know, Carter replied. We have been monitoring your communications for the past 4 months. We know where every one of your ships is located, how fast they can move, and what their capabilities are. The implication hit the chamber like a physical blow. While the aliens had been debating whether humans were dangerous, the humans had been quietly studying every aspect of their military capabilities. "This is exactly what we feared," Senator Morden said to the assembled representatives. "They have been planning this from the beginning." "No," Kate said firmly. "We have been protecting ourselves. There is a difference." But even as she said it, Kate could see that the difference was lost on the terrified aliens around her. To prey species? Any preparation for conflict looked like preparation for predation. The first shots were fired by a Saurian destroyer that tried to get a weapons lock on the human flagship. The human response was immediate and terrifying. Kate watched through the observation windows as human ships moved like wolves attacking a herd. They did not simply fire their weapons and hope for the best. They moved in coordinated patterns that herded enemy vessels into kill zones where multiple human ships could target them simultaneously. The Saurian destroyer that had fired first found itself cut off from its support vessels and facing 3 human cruisers. It lasted approximately 40 seconds, but what shocked the watching aliens was not just the efficiency of human tactics. It was the psychological warfare that accompanied the physical assault. Saurian vessel Bone Crusher, this is the human. "Ship determination," came a calm voice over the communications. "You have 30 seconds to surrender before we disable your life support systems. We know you have 43 crew members aboard. We would prefer not to kill them, but that choice is entirely up to you." The human ship was not just threatening to destroy the Saurian vessel. It was demonstrating detailed knowledge of crew, complements, and ship systems while offering mercy to enemies who had just killed human civilians. "How do they know our crew numbers?" General Creshford demanded. "Because we have been studying you," Admiral Carter replied matter-of-factly. "We know everything about your ships, your tactics, your command structure, and your psychology. Did you think we would enter galactic society without preparing for the possibility that someone might try to hurt us?" More human ships arrived, emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation. Each new arrival took up position with mechanical precision, creating overlapping fields of fire that would make escape impossible for any enemy vessel. "This is Lieutenant Commander Sarah Peterson aboard the Relentless," came another human voice. "Saurian heavy cruiser Iron Fang, we are preparing to board your vessel. Surrender now, and your crew will be treated according to galactic conventions. Resist, and we will demonstrate why humans were the apex predators of our homeworld." Kate felt her diplomatic mask slipping as she watched human boarding pods launch toward enemy ships. She had read about human military tactics, but seeing them in action was different. The humans were not just fighting. They were hunting. The Saurian crews, despite their natural armor and superior size, found themselves completely outmatched in close combat. Human boarding parties moved through enemy ships like sharks through water, systematically disabling resistance with tactics that seemed designed to break enemy morale as much as enemy defenses. The peace negotiations took place in the same chamber where the Galactic Council had first welcomed humanity 6 months earlier, but everything had changed. The aliens no longer saw humans as gentle creatures who needed protection. Admiral Frank Carter sat across from the galactic representatives, his gray eyes calm but watchful. Behind him, Ambassador Kate Morrison maintained her diplomatic smile, though everyone now understood what that smile really meant. "The terms are simple," Admiral Carter said in his quiet voice. "Humanity will remain a member of the Galactic Council, with full voting rights. Any species that attacks human civilians or military personnel will face immediate and overwhelming response. In return, humans will continue to honor all existing treaties and agreements." General Creshver, his pride broken along with his fleet, sat with his head bowed. "What guarantee do we have that humans will not use their capabilities to conquer other species?" Kate leaned forward. "The same guarantee we have always given. Our word. The difference is that now you understand the value of that word." Chairman Veltar's crystal form flickered nervously. "But how can we trust predators? Your own people admitted that you see us as potential prey." "Because," Kate said patiently, "humans choose our prey very carefully. We do not hunt family." "Doctor." Zarathil entered the chamber carrying a new set of recording equipment. She had requested permission to conduct follow-up studies after the recent conflict. Her skin was still pale from fear, but her scientific curiosity had overcome her terror. "I have been studying the battle recordings," she announced to the assembly. The human response was not random violence. It was highly controlled aggression with specific tactical objectives. "Explain," Veltar requested. Humans disabled enemy vessels rather than destroying them when possible. They offered surrender terms before attacking. They targeted military installations while avoiding civilian areas of enemy ships. This suggests that human violence follows strict behavioral rules. Commander Beth Rodriguez, who had been quiet during most of the negotiations, spoke up. "Dr. Zarathil is correct. Human military doctrine emphasizes proportional response and protection of non-combatants. We do not kill for pleasure. We kill to protect." "But you are so efficient at it," Aquinas said, her voice trembling in her water sphere. "Your boarding parties disabled Saurian warriors twice their size without apparent effort." Captain Tony Garcia smiled grimly. "Saurians fight like individuals. Humans fight like a pack. Size and strength matter less than coordination and tactics. This is what troubles us," Senator Morden of the Crystalline Federation said. "You speak of protecting your pack, but who decides what belongs to your pack?" Kate considered the question carefully. "Any species that accepts us as allies becomes part of our pack. Any individual who calls for our help becomes our responsibility. Humans do not abandon family. Even alien family?" Dr. Zarathil asked. "Especially alien family," Kate replied. "Humans have a saying, 'Blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb.' The bonds we choose are stronger than the bonds we are born with." The discussion was interrupted by urgent alarms throughout the station. Emergency broadcasts filled the communication channels as reports came in from the Outer Rim territories. The Devourers had returned. Everyone in the chamber knew about the Devourers. They were self-replicating machines that consumed organic matter to build more of themselves. They had appeared in galactic space 50 years ago, destroyed 3 entire star systems, and then vanished into deep space. Now they were back, and they were heading directly for the peaceful Verdani homeworld. "Initial reports indicate over 10,000 Devourer units," the emergency coordinator announced. "Estimated time to Verdani Prime, 72 hours. All available. Military forces are requested to respond immediately." Admiral Carter stood up from the negotiation table. "How many ships can the Council field?" "Perhaps 300 vessels," General Kreshver said. "But our previous encounters with Devourers suggest we will need at least twice that number to have any chance of success." "The Verdani have no military capability," Sofara said, her leaves rustling with fear. "My people are gardeners and philosophers. We cannot defend ourselves against machines designed for destruction." Kate looked at Admiral Carter. She could see him making calculations, weighing options, deciding whether humanity should risk its own people to protect aliens who had just tried to quarantine them. "Admiral," she said quietly, "the Verdani welcomed us when we first arrived. They showed us kindness." Carter nodded slowly. "Pack," he said simply. He activated his communicator. "All human vessels, this is Admiral Carter. We have a rescue mission. Devourer forces are threatening the Verdani homeworld. All ships are to proceed to Verdani Prime immediately and prepare for combat operations." "Admiral," General Kreshver said hesitantly, "will you accept Galactic Council vessels as support?" Carter looked at the alien general for a long moment. "Can your people follow human tactical doctrine? Can they take orders from human commanders without question?" "Our people are warriors," Kreshver said. "They will follow any leader who can achieve victory." "Then yes," Carter said. "But understand this. When humans go to war, we do not fight for territory or resources or glory. We fight to protect our pack. Today the Verdani are our pack. Anyone who helps us protect them becomes our pack too." The combined fleet that assembled at Verdani Prime was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships formed the core. but they were supported by Saurian heavy cruisers, crystalline destroyers, and even insectoid swarm fighters. For the first time in galactic history, multiple species fought under unified human command. Captain Tony Garcia found himself commanding a mixed squadron of human and alien vessels. His tactical officer was a Saurian warrior named Grixville. His communications specialist was an insectoid drone. His navigation officer was a luminary energy being. "This feels wrong," Grixville said as they approached the battle zone. "Predators and prey fighting together." "You are not prey," Garcia said firmly. "You are family. There is a difference." The Devourers had formed a massive swarm around Verdani Prime, their mechanical bodies blotting out the stars. They were harvesting the planet's forests, converting organic matter into more of themselves with terrifying efficiency. "All ships." Admiral Carter's voice came over the communications. "Remember, we are not here to win a glorious battle. We are here to protect the people who cannot protect themselves. Fight smart, fight together, and bring everyone home alive." What followed was not a battle in the traditional sense. It was an extermination. Human tactical doctrine, designed for hunting and pack coordination, proved devastatingly effective against the Devourer's hive-mind intelligence. Human ships herded Devourer swarms into kill zones where alien heavy weapons waited. Saurian boarding parties, guided by human tactical coordination, penetrated Devourer command nodes with unprecedented efficiency. Insectoid fighters operating under human pack hunting protocols overwhelmed individual Devourer units through sheer coordinated aggression, but it was the rescue operations that truly demonstrated human nature to their alien allies. While the main fleet engaged the Devourers in space, human evacuation teams risked their lives to save Verdani civilians trapped on the planet's surface. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Peterson led a rescue mission into a Verdani city that was already half consumed by Devourer machines. Her team included both humans and aliens, all working together to extract survivors from collapsed buildings and burning forests. "Why do you risk yourselves for us?" asked a young Verdani that Sarah's team pulled from the wreckage of a library. "We are not your species." Sarah looked at the plant-like alien with her sap-stained clothes and frightened eyes. "Because you are our family now," she said simply, "and humans do not abandon family." The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Devourer swarm had been completely destroyed and over 2 million Verdani civilians had been successfully evacuated. The combined fleet had lost only 37 vessels, a casualty rate that military analysts would study for decades. In the aftermath, as rescue ships carried wounded Verdani to safety, something fundamental had changed in galactic society. The aliens had seen humans at their most terrifying and their most noble. They had witnessed the true meaning of human pack bonding. Dr. Zarathol filed her final report 3 weeks later. "Humans are indeed apex predators," she wrote. "But they are apex predators who have chosen to use their abilities not for domination, but for protection. They do not hunt for territory or resources. They hunt threats to their adopted family, which now includes every species willing to accept their protection." The Galactic Council voted unanimously to grant humanity permanent membership with full rights and privileges. But more importantly, they voted to adopt human concepts of pack loyalty and mutual protection as the foundation of galactic law. Ambassador Kate Morrison stood before the Reformed Council for the final time in her role as chief negotiator. Her diplomatic smile was the same as it had always been, but now everyone understood its true meaning. It was not the expression of a prey animal seeking to avoid conflict. It was the expression of a guardian promising protection to those under her care. "The galaxy has learned something important about humanity," she said to the assembled representatives.